with the changes to the score and what happened originally.
What happened?
You mentioned that you'd gone back in to do some work on this new version for the DVD.
I think we had a problem with the MPAA getting it through. When George cut the film, it was great, and I scored it for all the eyeballs, picks going through people's foreheads and all that wonderful stuff. And then, of course, as soon as the censors, for those of you who don't know, the MPAA is the nasty people who censor these movies and try to homogenize them, I guess, for the public to get the rating. I don't know what the problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, by the time they had to cut it, none of the music fit. So we had to go back and alter all the music so it would now fit. Now, what you saw tonight was not the version that came out 25 years ago.
No. I mean, basically, what you saw now is about, I could see your reactions when you saw those special effects. Well, there's quite a few that will never be, the light of day will never see. Only because, as I was saying before, a couple of times, and we died the death of 1,000 cuts. What happened was when it went down first to the MPAA, they looked at it and said, "Tell the Canadians to take this fucking movie and go home." It's an X-ray. Well, since Paramount was involved in it, they could not allow an X rating to go out because in those days, X meant it would play in like 16 porno theaters across the country, right? So Paramount said, okay, well, what do we have to do? So now at the same time, we have to get this film ready so quickly. Even right now with digital technology, the time between getting this ready and getting into the theaters is still quick. In those days, it was old school. There was no digital technology. So we were doing 24-hour days around the clock in post also.
Just one thing. July 1st of 1980, we had a 5-page outline. July 5th, Frank Mancuso at Paramount said, okay, John Dunning, can you make this movie and have it out for Friday the 13th of February of next year? July, no script. August, September, we're shooting. October, November, we finish shooting. December, January, February, Friday the 13th of February, we have 1,107 prints of this movie. So we made this movie old-fashioned, cutting actual magnetic film and magnetic tape and film in less than 7 months.
Yeah, and what happened was we were doing everything again in 24-hour shifts. And we did things like we had to cut the negative at the same time as we were doing the mix and the same time as we were color correcting. And I'm in Toronto doing the mix. Paul's in Toronto. Our editor, Red Wallace, in LA. And the NPA would say, okay, so take 30 seconds off this scene, take out the pickaxe going underneath. I mean, with Happy, with his eyeball, you still didn't see half of it, and all those crazy weird effects that we did. And then you say, okay, so we do all that. So then we'd have to call Paul and say, Paul, we just cut out, one bar of your music, and all of a sudden now, of course, the hit is not happening on the hit, your drum is not happening on the drum, the cymbal's not where it should be, everything's screwed up. So Paul would go back and recut it, send it to us. So we then send this back to the MPAA. And of course, there were no computers, no cell phones, any of that. So, everything had to be flown by hand. And then, actually, we ended up with a copy of it in LA, which our editor was cutting at the same time as we were cutting the masters back in Toronto. So then, we'd show it to them again, and they'd say, that's really great, but it's still an X. Cut this, this, and this. So finally, it took about a week and a half. And finally, literally, all the effects were gone. One of the biggest disappointments was, of course, is that we all looked at it and said, this is my fucking bloody anemic Valentine.
One of the scenes that you did not see, even in this recut version, the scene in which the couple is making out, and you pull back and you see that he's got a spike through him, and through her. That scene we shot twice. It was so wonderfully gruesome, where he's sort of over her, and she's looking up at him, and he goes, oh, like that. And she goes, oh, like this. And he goes, oh, like that. And then you realize that he's been stabbed with this.
And as she opens her mouth.
And she opens her mouth. And the blood from Hilha, with the it was fabulous. And you didn't see it.
Yeah, that was an interesting exchange of body fluids that they basically said, don't even think about leaving this in. This, we're not asking you to cut a frame or half of it. We want the whole fucking thing out, or it's a non-negotiable go home. So basically, we went through this. So everyone, editors, Paul, we were all going absolutely crazy till finally, and at one point, and this is the absolute God honest truth, because Paul did such great work on the music, and the guys who did the sound effects at the time was pretty well the state of the art. They asked us to cut out frames of shots that were no longer in the film because the music and the sound effect was still too effective for them. So we literally had to go back and then say, but look, there's nothing left. So yeah, it was a nightmare. But hey, the fact is it's still here after 28 years and you guys still have a good time. And I had a good time listening to you guys have a good time.
Hell yeah.